Alright, part 2 of 10 brutal ways to get murked in Primal. Let's just jump right in, shall we? I'm actually considering watching the show at some point. I probably should. And it looks very interesting. And it's got dinosaurs and shit in it, and monsters, so, like, why wouldn't I? And, oh, jeez.
Our journey through the
Am I on the right account? Okay, I had to make sure I'm on the right account.
blood-stained lands of Primal continues as we encounter a brand new set of creatures that won't think twice before turning you into a fleshy pulp.
Or giant vulture, I guess.
A brand new set of creatures that won't think
or maybe, well, I guess they could be the same thing, couldn't they? I don't know.
Twice before turning you into
Those fuckers are tall.
A fleshy pulp. In this episode, we will put our test subjects through a series of horrific simulations that will make you think twice before you travel through the wilderness alone, showing off all sorts of weapons, kill methodologies, and breaking down in detail exactly how you will perish at the hands of these killers. If you can't get enough carnage and want to see even more, please take a split second to subscribe, hit that like button, and hold on tight while we review the
You're at the man.
New 10 Ways to Die in Jendi Tartatovsky's Primal Part 2. The first animal to discuss is a creature that brings death from above. But before we reveal this animal, we want to give a quick number 1, plunging killers. It's flying reptiles with beaks armed with few but very sharp pointy
Ornithocarius? Was that another cut?
teeth capable of grasping slippery prey such as fish. But in this case, you're gonna get caught. Now, in our simulation platform, we'll witness what happens whenever this reptile grips onto you and yanks you with these jaws. And it won't be pretty. Once these jaws snap into you, the teeth of this animal will pierce deep, potentially deep enough to make contact with your organs. These don't necessarily cut, but will begin to rip you. Since this animal isn't just airborne, its momentum in the air will cause it to begin ripping flesh, killing you in seconds. Having flesh ripped from your body is one of the most painful sensations imaginable, and this is how you'll suffer. Up next, we'll cover another animal with very sharp teeth, except these weapons are used differently. Number 2, a lethal bite. This world will never run short of predators.
I'm actually curious, what do you think would be stronger, a saber-toothed tiger or a modern-day tiger? I don't know. Regardless, I imagine it's not pleasant to get killed by either.
Will make swift work of you. Up next on our list are the smilodons, large feline predators gifted with a muscular build, deadly retractable claws on its paws, and large saber teeth that were used for nothing else but killing. So how would this feel like? In this show, the smilodons are massive, and so are their heads, and consequently these teeth would have sufficient length to manage to puncture your internal organs and
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's gonna hurt quite a bit if anyone just got bitten by those. Like, imagine that thing just biting into your arm and its teeth just goes right through. Like, damn. You know, actually, it probably just rip your arm off.
Possibly kill you
in your neck.
In the process. These were seen to dig deep in their victims' bodies. If you found yourself in the grasp of these sabers, expect these to feel like thick stab wounds, with the girth of each tooth cutting and expanding the wound, pushing any muscle fibers aside. You should realize that this happens very fast, but it's...
Was that a monkey, dude?
Any muscle fibers aside, you should realize that this happens very fast, but it's extremely painful nonetheless. These could even go as deep as making contact with your bone, if bitten on the leg, for instance. Any contact with bone will trigger nerve responses in your body that are translated as excruciating pain. You'd be lucky if they bite you on the neck, sparing you from what could be one of the most painful deaths on this list. But we got lots of more pain to cover in this episode. Up next, we will discuss how an animal could not only bite hard, but crush its victim. Number 3, deadly ambush. In episode 10 of season 1, we find Spear and Fang fishing off the coast of their territory when all of the
Spear? I know that T-Rex's name was Fang, but his name is Spear? Okay.
They're surprised by another animal's prey running or swimming for her life. And then the predator.
Oh boy.
Now, it isn't 100% clear what the official name for this creature is, but it was mentioned to be a tylosaur in the pitch animatic, but later said
to say, it definitely looked like some type of mosasaur for a bit, or Leopleurodon. It was definitely some aquatic dinosaur of some sorts. I couldn't tell if it was like mosasaur, telosaur, or Leopleurodon, but oh well. I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice that said Leopleurodon.
said to be a Pleurodon. Either way, getting killed by this monster will be nothing
Yeah, that looks more so like a Pleurodon.
short of brutal. Let us explain. Getting clamped by this animal only means that this huge array of teeth and tremendous bite force would snap
Not to mention, you gotta deal with the whole point of being underwater too, and imagine that's not fun either.
you right in half. Some people watching this may be under the impression that this test subject is immediately dead. But no,
Okay.
your brain is still conscious. You can still see, and you'll be able to be alive for enough seconds to look down at your separated body. This lasts just a few seconds since the blood loss will eventually catch up to your head. Your brain won't have enough oxygen to function, and then you pass out and
Not to say, and then in the water too. Not only is it going through, it's pretty much the water's pretty much going through every orifice of your body at that point. Like Jesus.
die. Another animal capable of doing this was this creature, the giant crocodile, with the appropriate jaws and
giant
enough
crocodile.
teeth to do the exact same thing. Up next, we're going to see another aquatic animal, but the aftermath would be a bit different than getting snapped by tooth-infested jaws. Number 4, clean cut. This next animal might come as a surprise to you since it isn't immediately the first creature that pops into your head whenever you're thinking about deep-sea predators. This giant marine turtle dwarfs today's modern-day sea turtles, resembling an archelon. Believe it or not, turtles can pack a solid bite whenever they're hungry.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not so much the bite force that helps. Yes, it's considerably strong, but it's actually their sharp beak that does most of the cutting. Getting bit by these smaller turtles would be the equivalent of someone using sharp pliers on you. In the real world, these turtles, for instance, have strong enough bites to sever your fingers off. But what about this big fella? Well,
Probably
it
even
would
more
be the
so.
same thing, but at a larger scale.
Yeah.
Unlike the previous creature that relies on a tremendous bite force to snap you in two, this turtle now relies on its exceptionally sharp beak, which means that any part of your body that gets caught between these two mandibles would get cut right off. And
Yeah.
not only that, it will be a nice, clean cut.
And you
If
can't even have peace with turtles here. I guess you got to get them young. You know how they start off being alone on the ocean and everything, and they got to fend for themselves and everything, and have to avoid seagulls from killing them all the time. I guess you got to get them young before they get big like this and big enough to kill you. You gotta that or let the seagulls do the work. They either got to grab it and just crush the shell open, or just let the seagulls do the work.
the previous bite kills you faster due to the brute force, this one wouldn't. You still
Regardless, you get in turtle soup. Well, you do if you get the kill early. If not, then the seagull's gonna have a nice meal or whatever. Do they eat turtle? I imagine they would, because I imagine they wouldn't just go there to kill it for no. Well, then again, I guess they could go there to kill it for no reason. I mean, we've seen it in the one Casual Geographic video. Birds are demons. Oh yeah.
die, but because the cut wasn't as violent, perhaps your body will pass out a tiny bit later, allowing you to witness this carnage for a slightly longer time. We'll take a break from the sea and move on to an animal that, unlike this turtle, will leave a huge mess. Number 5, mutilated. Our next animal in this list is actually a creature domesticated for war. These are giant bears. They don't necessarily resemble the extinct Arctodus, but rather the modern-day grizzly bear.
Yeah, I was about to say, regardless, it's a damn bear, and yeah, that's not gonna go well.
Given that their muzzle is a lot more elongated. This and their impressive size makes these war mounts lethal war machines equipped with jaws with devastating bites, muscular forelimbs, and massive claws that will not just
It's
cut,
like
but
as big as a
also
damn
destroy. Before we test these out on the test subject, let's first take a look at what real-life bears can do. If you didn't know, present-day grizzly bear paws are the size of dinner plates, dwarfing our own hands, and their claws can be anywhere from 2 to 4 inches in length. But that's just the beginning. A bear's forelimbs are oriented to perfectly inflict maximum swiping power. So much that there are
Taking out
around
a
15
moose.
accounts of bears reportedly slapping a moose's head from their bodies. And that's just this small grizzly bear. These guys? Well, let's enter the simulation platform and see what happens. Okay, so as we can see, this impact was projected in these parts of the bear's hands. Since most of the power was concentrated on these tips, they were
Now I
easily
want to know how the hell this guy got this thing to follow its orders and everything. Jesus. I'm getting reminded of the dire bears from Ark right now. And I mean, I have Ark now, so I can play it if I want to. I might be playing it after this.
capable of tearing through this test subject, crushing every vital organ in an instant, granting this fella a quick, almost painless death. This doesn't end here. If you're pinned down by this bear, however, its massive jaws are big enough to bite down on your torso and literally rip through your ribcage, leaving a massive cavity on your body and a disgusting mess. Is this painful? Yes, but it wouldn't last long. Admittedly, there haven't been any historical accounts of bears being used for combat, but the next animal on this list was historically the most powerful and brutal war mount of all time. Number 6, mangled. So, what were these beasts? Nothing else but war elephants. That's right.
And, well, elephants aren't anything to mess with. Neither were the woolly mammoths in the last video.
In the world of Primal, it would only make sense to also see these guys featured in combat. So how can these things kill? For starters, let us quickly give you a crazy history lesson that you'll never forget. Back in the day, before tanks dominated the battlefield, humanity leveraged the power of elephants, both African and Asian, who were domesticated and trained to follow commands, run into the battlefield, and go out and kill people. This also served as psychological warfare. In some cases, the troops in the opposing army had never in their life seen an elephant before, and witnessing a massive monster throwing his fellow soldiers into the air and mutilating them would only inflict terror in these soldiers and cause them to run away. But the people controlling these elephants figured something else out, that these elephants could be used to execute people in pretty creative ways. But back to Primal. These elephants were exceptionally massive, rivaling the size of these mammoths. A typical method of killing for these elephants was to stampede through the opposing army, mercilessly crushing anyone beneath their massive bodies. But some could get creative. There are historical accounts of elephants stepping on people and ripping up the remaining body parts with their trunks. Yeah, there were actual training schools that taught these things to elephants. We must mention that these animals were at
They taught it to step on them and then rip them apart. Good lord.
times very clumsy and sometimes unreliable. Like any war machine, things don't always go perfect. Sometimes these guys would get spooked and trample over their own army. But let's quickly take a break from land creatures and return to the sea, where the most terrifying predator of the ocean awaits us. Number 7, Mega Jaws. This, ladies and gentlemen, is arguably the most feared sea-dwelling predator of all time. At least in this show. We first have to mention that the megalodon in this show resembles the great white shark more than it does the more accurate reconstruction of Ototus megalodon that existed a while ago. For the purposes of this series, that's a good thing, because this build allows this shark to move fast and be as deadly as its present-day descendant. As you might have guessed already.
Just the fact that T-Rex being able to swim that fast out of its mouth, like Jesus.
This creature's jaws are so wide that a small person like you would simply get swallowed. So, how do you die here? We will assume this test subject didn't die from a heart attack upon witnessing these massive jaws rushing towards her. Once these jaws slam shut, you're going straight underwater. A megalodon of this size will take you down deep where the water pressure is so strong you'll implode from the surrounding pressure. And that's it. That's how you'll die. Now, this is a
Well, never mind the digestion process. You just suffer from water pressure before you even get to that point.
Considering that you would otherwise survive long enough to enter this creature's stomach. We aren't sure how megalodons' digestive systems were, but what we do know is that present-day sharks hold very strong acids in their stomachs. Some are corrosive enough to dissolve metal. So, consider yourself lucky that you're small enough to avoid these teeth and fragile enough to get crushed by the water pressures. Really, the most frightening part of this experience is facing the shark itself. But now, let's hop back on dry land where another killer awaits. Number 8, killed by giants. As we travel through the lands of Primal, you'll quickly realize that gigantism is a common phenomenon around here, and humans aren't exempt from it. Now, before we dispose of our test subject, we will introduce you to this guy, Kamau, a human of massive proportions and impressive strength. This fella belonged to a peaceful to have another shot at getting.
Was that another? Okay, that was another cut. But yeah, this dude. Good lord, he could just step on me and I'm dead. Like, he actually looks like he just stomp her, like, just entirely squish her. You know, like the Pixar beginning, you know, just it's boing, 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 and then just squash it, and then it's just flattened. Pancake. Fucking pancake. That's what this looks like right now. Jesus.
Back at the queen for all okay, Kamau, that's
Or-
a little too much, man.
just do that.
Seriously,
No.
dude, there are kids watching. Ugh.
Are there? Well,
All right, next creature. Number 9, carrion feeders. Right now, we'll introduce you to another giant animal, the giant vulture. This animal in this show was probably Primal's version of the Argentavis, a massive, now extinct vulture that
well, that's... I remember those. Yeah, I really want to play Ark so bad now. I really do. I thought they were terror birds, but that makes sense too. Yeah.
existed a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess they could be counted as that, couldn't they? Well, I don't know. Are they? I don't know.
In this show, they are a lot more massive, equipped with sharp beaks filled with teeth and a pair of large, sharp talons that allowed it to have a firm grip on its prey, or whatever it was eating. To show you the most brutal ways these things could kill, we first have to know how these beaks are used. And the closest reference we have are present-day vultures. These beaks with pointy tips allow them to pierce into a fleshy surface area and easily tear upwards. Similarly, our test subject would have to endure this. How long can a human survive? Well, here's a fun fact. Let's say the vulture ripped into the rib cage and ripped out the lungs and heart. Believe it or not, you'll still be able to see the bird rip these out. You'll lose consciousness in a few seconds though, given that there is no longer a heart to pump blood into your brain. In situations like these, you best hope these birds go straight for your head. But in terms of pain, there's almost nothing as painful as... Number 10, roasted alive. We've reached... This would be similar to getting burned by a flamethrower. These high
I'm
temperatures
assuming these cuts are made because of copyright issues.
would begin by burning your first layer of skin and hair is burnt
The hell
off.
is this?
But what is it about fire that kills you exactly? Well,
This is an
apart
actual
from the
damn
fact
demon?
that inhaling the toxic fumes that are expelled from your own body can eventually kill you, our body's muscles and fat tends to shrink once they're being burned. Those of you who cook steaks a lot will know what we're talking about. This done to a live victim is extremely painful, but it doesn't just stop at
Jesus,
the
it
muscles
says
and
it
fat.
flax on
This
fire,
also
that's not
applies
good.
to your internal organs, meaning that your intestines, liver, heart, brain, and lungs will shrink as a result of the immense heat. This is what kills, and it only takes a few seconds under these conditions. It is no secret that leaving existence in
He's just punching the
flames
shit
has
out of him.
always been one of the most terrifying ways to go, often followed up by grim aftermaths.
Ugh.
If you enjoyed this episode and
Yeah, burn wounds never look pretty. Seriously, they never. Like, just look at them and it's like, yikes. It does not look good. Say burn wounds, explosion good wounds, they just yikes. Yikes. Especially when it like straight up melts the skin and everything, and I was like, ugh. Yeah. That does not look good. My heart goes out to the people that have them because it's not fun. I never really had severe burn wounds. The most burn wounds I ever got was accidentally touching the stone slab in an oven after like heating up a pizza in there, and it wasn't even that bad of a wound. It's like I just lightly tapped it for a second on accident because I accidentally moved my fingers around the wrong way, and then yeah. And I like how this is just what I'm paused on. He's just like, continue. Christ.
would like to see more episodes like these, please subscribe and like this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Alrighty then. Well, that was a good video, and of course I just got more and more reasons to pray I never get reincarnated into the world of Primal. Although I really do want to watch the TV show now, or I'm pretty sure it's a TV show, not a movie. Could be wrong, but Primal is definitely something I want to watch now. Yeah. So yeah, it looks really fun and interesting to watch though. Yeah. So, yeah, I might give it a shot if I can find out where to get it. Then again, I've been saying that about a lot of things. I need to watch Camp Cretaceous, but I still haven't watched that either. Or Chaos Theory. Yeah. That's the name of the new one, I think, yeah. Is there something else too? I don't know. But yeah, that's... Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video now. If you enjoyed it, check out the original one, which will be linked in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.